expressed so much that it was about Kevin. I kind of felt like I owed him one, to dedicate. So I wrote My Old Friend, and it fits into my story here because this is a concept album, and so it has a dual meaning. It has a personal meaning for me with Kevin, and then the character in the story actually meets a character sort of based on Kevin that would be really like an apparition, a shaman, the mysterious character that he meets in the desert. Similar to I was very influenced by Frank Herbert's Dune books, and in Children of Dune and Dune Messiah, there's the characters like this mysterious character that they think is Paul and all these things. But anyway, so it's similar to that. But when I started writing it, I started to develop where okay, I'm going to write this a little more toward the style of lyric writing that he writes as well, in a tribute to him. So it becomes like, okay, it's sort of about a communion with a character based on me and a character based on him crossing over to share wisdom. That's what the song is about. And then I wrote the lyrics, because I'm not going to write that many songs that are dedicated to Kevin or any one person. I figured this is my second chance to do a song paying tribute to Kevin, but an original song. Because I could always sing one of his songs too, which I may do. But as far as doing an original song, I thought, let me go all out and do the best tribute I can. So I wrote the lyrics kind of in his style, not completely, but some certain things that people know his style, recognize what I did. And then I had Nick DiVirgilio already playing on it. We tracked down Russ. And I asked him if he would play on it, and he said, absolutely, I would love to, I love you guys. And so that was great. We had this reunion. And then actually on the deluxe edition of the album, we also have Satnam Ramgatra, who is a tabla player who played with us as well. He's amazing. And he wasn't available when I made this record, but he said he would love to as well. So there's an intro piece called Theta that has just incredible tabla playing. And again, all of it is nostalgic in that if anybody's familiar with, it's an esoteric album, but it's a great one, Thud Live at the Troubadour, there's also a DVD. This was that band, the same people I'm talking about, playing live Kevin's songs, and Kashmir from Led Zeppelin, which was kind of a hit that we had at the time. And with a very cool style that just was only certain people know about, but it was a great band, a great mix of flavors. So it was nice to get all of those same people with their same style, even more developed now, because they've only gotten better, all playing together to do this one song that I've dedicated to Kevin.
Right, and you commented something important. Sometimes I think or I see that people can come into your life in different ages. For example, you mentioned that you were very young when you met him, and actually that he was a very important influence in your career. What about later working on the Sound of Contact? I can tell you, and this is maybe my personal perception, but of course, I can see very clear your compositions here. I can see that most of this is part of your musical influence, but also I can see the influence from Phil Collins there, because I can see the voice from Simon very very similar. Not in the way that he's trying to personify Phil Collins, but he has the influence of Genesis maybe. So what about getting in these new how can I tell you, loops of your life, of new projects? For example, when you jump from working with Kevin Gilbert, you had that influence. Then working maybe in the Sound of Contact, you both influenced yourselves. And then right now that you are working in a known project, it's very or totally different from what you have done in the past. Which is the next step? Which is what you are expecting later when you have released this new album?
Well, first of all, if you listen to Simon Collins' solo records, because he has 3 solo records before doing this, this and also a cover version of Keep It Dark from Genesis that we did together, that was the first thing we ever did. It goes a little more toward Phil Collins' sound, and also even Peter Gabriel and Genesis. And that is, I would say, mostly because of the combination of the two of us and me sort of pushing in that direction. I don't even know if he wanted to go as much in that direction, but I, as a producer, because I co-produced the record with him, and we would sort of have the objective point of view when, let's say, he was in the vocal booth singing, and let's say maybe he was singing my lyrics or he was singing his lyrics. There would be things that I would suggest that are slightly more Genesis-y. Like, for instance, in Pale Blue Dot, which was mostly his song, he says, I am not a name on this prison planet. That was his lyric. I am not a name. I said, why don't you do I twice?
Mm-hmm.
I. It was just like Duke. And it just kind of like sounded
Mm-hmm.
right. And so there's little things like that would happen. And to be honest, I mean, the way I looked at this project, or the way I would look at any project, is sort of like a director would with a film. Like, who am I working with? What do we have here? What's the talent here? What's their angle? And if you're working with Phil Collins' son, who happens to be a great singer and a great drummer, he's a great drummer. He really has it in his blood. And it was just like, well, let's do this. And of course, you know, it wasn't all up to me because it was a band, and you know, so some things. A lot of it went my way, and some things went another way. I'm like, oh, okay, I have to compromise as a band. But I was really happy with how it all came out, and I worked within that. You know, also Matt and Kelly, great players, great guys, and so we really had a great time making this record. And to me, it's just, I mean, it's sad that we can't make more together, you know, but that's how it goes sometimes in the music industry. But at least we made this. So to me, this is like a book, a chapter, or whatever. Like, this is, okay, that's that. Then there's this, which is essentially like the next album to this, but with just me and without the Phil Collins angle, you know.
But in the meanwhile, you are forgetting to mention this and some other projects that you have been working. Tell us about those projects, because maybe people that are listening right now to this interview or viewing this interview are very interested in knowing you. Your contributions, for example, in this project of Steve Hackett, that has been a kind of tribute to Genesis and all those redemptions to those songs that are very famous, that are very known by all people. And if you can see here, here's Mr. Dave Kersner here. So tell us a little bit about those contributions, your projects that you have been working, because there is more beyond what you have right now. And
Well, I like to keep active in music, and especially in things that I like, and I've been very fortunate to work with Steve Hackett on his Genesis Revisited, where I played the keyboard solo on Supper's Ready, which is their 20-plus minute epic, which was a total honor. And I helped get Francis Dunnery recorded for Dancing with the Moonlit Night on that record. And that obviously led to a lot of other things, including Steve guesting on my album. I'm producing several tribute records as well. One of them is a remake of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway with a symphony orchestra, and Francis Dunnery singing, Nick DiVirgilio on drums, myself on keyboards. I have a band in the UK, project with Heather Findlay, from a lead singer and writer from Mostly Autumn. There was a band called Mostly Autumn, still around, but she's not in it. So it's called Mantra Vega, that band. And that band it has Dave Kilminster from Roger Waters' The Wall as a guitar player, and some of the other guys are from Mantra Vega, Alex, Stu, and Chris. And they're all based in the UK, and they're great musicians. They're a great group of people. And Heather's actually the main lead singer, and I'm the secondary singer, kind of like Fleetwood Mac, like a progressive Fleetwood Mac or the Gabriel Kate Bush kind of sound. So that's an interesting record that's coming out next year that we're doing together. Heather and I are writing the music. And then I have a project called Sonic Elements that is, the idea is to make tribute/fantasy band records for the love of certain bands, like Genesis with The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Rush, which we did with Neil Peart actually on drums. So that's why I call it a fantasy band. So we have the drummer of Rush, we were doing Rush songs, and I have Rick Emmett from Triumph on there, I've got John Wesley from Porcupine Tree, and Francis Dunnery is on most of my stuff. He's a good friend of mine, and all sorts of different players. Some of the guys from Sound and Contact on there, Matt and Randy, and then there's also a Pink Floyd